Hello and welcome to another commentary on an actual test that was conducted in August 2025 at Maybush Southampton Test Centre. As many of you will be aware, the Green Lane is quite a busy road at times, so we're going to be turning left onto Green Lane and we're going to have a little bit of a wait as there's some cars coming from our right hand side. As we turn into Green Lane, we'll see that there's a vehicle parked on the left-hand side of the road that we're going to have to negotiate. There's a couple of cars already waiting to go round there, but our pupil takes up a really good holdback position, getting a very clear view down the road through the little gap that develops. And we see that the vehicle that we're potentially giving way to is turning right further down the road, which means that we're able to do centre mirror, right mirror checks and pass the parked vehicle and continue down Green Lane. It's very important to be aware that Green Lane is a 20-mile-per-hour road and there are lots of markings on the floor and repeater signs as we go down the road. There's also quite often a lot of cars parked in very similar places, so this is a common spot for cars parked on the right-hand side of the road, and luckily enough the white van was waiting for us to continue down the road first, so we didn't have too many problems dealing with that situation. The weather conditions were a little bit overcast today with a tiny little bit of showers at times, and the examiner is now going to ask the pupil to do the first pull up on the left hand side. They bring the car to a nice controlled stop, going past the junction on the right hand side, which is important, and stopping just before the markings develop on the left hand side. As to move off, so we're going to do all-round observations, make sure that there's nothing that we're going to cause an inconvenience to, and then we move off and continue our journey down the road. We can see a vehicle emerge from Buttermere Close, but it didn't really cause us an inconvenience, so all we should be doing is doing our potential hazard observations centre and right without changing our speed. And at the mini roundabout, we're going to be asked to turn left, which is first exit. We do a good job of slowing down on the approach and not actually coming to a full stop as we enter the roundabout. We have a vehicle come across our path there that prevents us from accelerating too much, but we also got a speed bump. We're now proceeding down Windermere Avenue. Windermere Avenue does have speed bumps most of the way down to the double mini roundabout, so make sure that you're driving at a nice consistent speed. We can see some workmen working on the grass verge on the roadside to the right of us here, and that's going to play an important role in the choice that's made. This area here, we often have cars parked on the left-hand side of the road, but if the vehicle coming towards you is positioned well close to the curb on their side of the road, it does give you the opportunity to go through the gap at a cautious speed. But due to the workmen on the road, it meant that the vehicle coming towards us wasn't going to be able to maintain that position very close to their curbside. So we took up a very good holdback position and allowed them to come through the road before we continued our journey. Nice control of the speed, allowing the vehicles coming towards us so that at no stage did we have to come to a complete stop. But as you can kind of see, we're just crossing over the centre lines here. We're controlling our speed nicely because we are going to be positioning ourselves quite close to the cars on the left-hand side, just in case a vehicle comes down the road. Dealing with the speed bumps, and then finally we get to return to our own side of the road. At this stage, this is where we'll be starting to approach the double mini roundabouts. The whole of the junction is quite open, so it's quite easy to see cars approaching. We should only be giving way to people that are approaching the first roundabout, so we're giving way to the right. And we see this car here. It is a good idea to keep an eye on the road ahead of you for cars that are coming down the hill. They can often approach at quite a significant speed. They also enter the second roundabout without really thinking about give way. So just be careful that you may not be able to turn right even though you have priority. We're going to speed up the video a little bit here because not too much happens. We have got a lady crossing the road, so we're going to be cautious as we approach our right-hand turn. And the road we've just entered is Walnut Grove. Not the best road in the world. Road surface isn't too good. We've often got cars parked on the right-hand side here. As you can see, there are gaps. But they're not the easiest to spot from a distance, so we are cautious of any cars coming up the hill. Once again, we've got more people on the road, and that's going to continue as we approach the next junction as well. We can see another pedestrian approaching the road, but by the time we get there, they have basically crossed the road, and as we're turning left, we don't really need to worry about them too much. We're now travelling down Oakley Road, and the next junction we're going to be dealing with is the major crossroads onto Tebourba Way. This is quite a busy junction and quite challenging if you don't know what you're doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to approach the centre of the road. There is a vehicle from the road ahead of us that is also looking to turn right. So this black car has positioned themselves in a really good position. They got a good clear view down the road. They can see the oncoming traffic, but they're also not causing a major problem to the vehicle that was wanting to turn right from the road ahead of them. So we followed in behind, and that took into a really good position. We're only speeding up the video for a very short bit because we're going to have a good piece of work by the pupil just coming up. We have this vehicle appear on the right hand side, indicating left, looking to want to come into our lane. Our pupil does a really good job of recognizing the vehicle as they're coming past them, and at all times they maintain a good safe braking distance, so they slow down as the vehicle comes across their path. They maintain a good braking zone, so they dealt with that situation very, very well. Just remember, when you're slowing down like that, always do your observations centre and right to make sure that you know anything else that's going on around you. We do have a moment here to take a breather to ourselves as we're waiting to join Millbrook roundabout at a traffic light controlled junction. Doesn't mean you should just be sitting there looking at the vehicle in front of you. Just because you're stationary doesn't mean everyone else is. Motorbikes are allowed to go in between traffic, so they could be moving up alongside you, so be careful about those before you move off. As we go into the exit lane, we've got two lanes that are going to merge into one, so we're going to do centre mirror right to check whether there's any vehicles trying to overtake us at the last moment. And then the slip road goes onto the dual carriageway. Notice there are no give-way lines there. It's a flow-through lane, so you shouldn't be expecting to slow down there. What you will be doing is you'll be watching the traffic that's joining from the flyover section so that you can see if they are going to be trying to take the left-hand lane just after you join the dual carriageway. We've been asked to turn left onto Regents Park Road. So we're going to do observation, centre and left. We're going to signal left, and we're going to take the new lane as it develops. We're turning left as soon as it develops. Once again, we're going to speed up the video as we're at another major intersection. As said before, take the opportunity to have a breather when you get the opportunity. Tests can be quite stressful, so when you've got the time just to kind of like let your mind slow down just for a second, it's always good to take that opportunity when you can't do anything. If you're the type of person that doesn't like uncomfortable silences, talk to the examiner. They are good people. They are there to put you at ease. Have a chat with them if you get the opportunity to. And we got another section here where we're going to speed up the video, and we're just going up Regents Park Road. So we're not going to be doing too much, but there is quite a lot of activity going on. So we've just seen a vehicle join from the road from Costco. It can be obviously quite busy there at times. Every time we kind of like see these potential hazards, centre mirror right. Show that you're aware of your surroundings, so if that potential hazard turns into a full hazard, you've already got an idea of how you're going to slow down and deal with the situation. As we go up the road, we're changing positions quite a bit, a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, but each time we're going to do centre mirror right, centre mirror left to show that we're checking that the space that we're entering is actually safe for us to use before we enter it. The next bit we're going to do is we're going to turn left into Clifton Road. We're going to be entering an area that's a little bit more compact, Cars parked on the sides of the road, so we're going to be dealing a lot more with meeting traffic as we're going ahead. I think you'll find the examiner is going to ask us to do our second pull-up on the left manoeuvre. Centre mirror left, indicate to the left, pull yourself up in a nice position quite close to the curb, and as they ask you to move off, all round observations starting from the curb side, finishing making sure you really take a good look at your blind spot on your right hand side there. We're then going to continue down the road. Up ahead of us we are going to have a bend to the left. It's important to notice that it's actually not a junction that we're taking. We're just following the road round to the left. The centre line markings are going to show us that the road bends to the left, and we can see the junction marking straight ahead of us. So we shouldn't need to indicate to make that manoeuvre. Now we're starting to see all the cars parked on the sides of the road, so we're predominantly going to be in the middle of the road on these bits here. We're turning right now. This puts us on Millbrook Road. Not the easiest road to see where the gaps that we can place ourselves if there's any oncoming vehicles. So go down this road with a little bit of caution, but we haven't really had very much to deal with, so that's nice and easy. We're going to be turning right onto Prince of Wales Avenue. Very similar road, a little bit more spaces to kind of like move into. But it looks like we're going to be asked to do a third pull-up on the left-hand side. If the examiner says to you to stop and don't worry about the drop curbs, they're not trying to trick you. Trust what they're asking you to do. And if they say to park across a drop curb, it is perfectly fine to do so. You're only going to be stopping there for a second, so it wouldn't be an issue. At the end of Prince of Wales Avenue, we've got one of the very few stop lines in the Southampton test route areas. This means that you cannot peep and creep and keep stopping. You have to stop once and come to a complete stop. The pupil here takes a really good position, as close to the stop line as possible. It's quite a blind bend on the right hand side. You can't see very well into the road, so if you stop short of the stop line, you are going to struggle on this junction. So control your speed early, keep creeping all the way up to the stop line, and then come to a complete stop. And if you're worried about showing that you have come to a complete stop, just use the handbrake. It's absolutely fine to do. We're actually now on the second part of Oakley Road, and we're going to come to a complete stop at the traffic lights for Tebourba Way again. Once again, we're going to be turning right, and we've got oncoming vehicles coming towards us as well, so we're going to be looking to find the perfect position to wait in the middle of the road until it's safe for us to turn right. What you'll often find, areas of the road that don't get used will have patches of gravel or dirt left in the middle of the road because no one's going over it to pick it up and throw it away. And that's often a good spot where you can actually wait until it's time for you to take your turn to the right. Luckily enough, the cars coming towards us cleared through quite quickly, so we didn't really have to stop too long. And now we're going to go down to Tebourba Way towards Winchester Road. So we're stopped here at the traffic lights for the Tesco's on the left hand side. As you're constantly stopping and starting here, just remember that Tebourba Way is a 50-mile-per-hour dual carriageway. So just because you're driving at a slow speed as you're moving off doesn't mean that the vehicles in the right hand lane are going to be driving at the same speed as you. So always being aware of that space on your right hand side, because there may be someone coming up past you quite fast that wants to change lanes just to get into the right position for the next crossroads, where we're here at the crossroads with Romsey Road. So always be aware of the space around you. I like to say to my pupils, space is dangerous. The only way you know that it's not a danger to you is if you're constantly having a quick look into it to see what's going on. We're going up Romsey Road here. It's a reasonable incline all the way up, basically. So you're needing to use a little bit more accelerator just to maintain the same speed. The examiner's asked the pupil here to pull up on the left-hand side. Keep that consistency unless the examiner asks you to pull up in a specific position. Always choose the most convenient position for you. You never have to stop straight away. Safe, convenient, and legal position. So select the best position to you. Follow the good routine. MSN, mirrors, signal maneuver, and then all-round observations to move off. We're now coming up to the crossroads with Wimpson Lane and Rounders Road. Changes to 2 lanes at the end, and each lane is directed by a separate set of traffic lights. This junction's a little bit interesting, where we do have a filter lane for the right from both sides, and we're going to meet up in the middle. There's no boxes there, but we do have arrows directing the traffic, so don't be surprised if you have a car driving straight at you. They are supposed to be turning right as well. We're turning right into Coxford Road. Slow down a little bit just to allow the car to come past us, but a good job not coming to a stop when we didn't need to. Our next task is a left-hand turn onto Alder Road. There's quite a nice flow to this part of the road and this bend, so make sure you've got your observations up together. There's not really a large need to slow down too much there, but you do need to make sure that there's no vehicles doing anything that would cause you to fully come to a complete stop. As we're coming up to the roundabout that intersects Palm Road, this roundabout is quite uphill, so just be very thoughtful about using an appropriate use of the accelerator to keep progressing up. You don't want to be going too slow. And there's quite a blind left-hand turn off here. Quite often cars are going to be coming. They're going to be more in the middle of the road. You can see the vehicle parked on the right and vehicles parked on the left. So as you turn into the second part of Alder Road, there quite often is vehicles coming down that are already in the centre of the road. So just be careful as you turn off that roundabout. We're going to be entering a busy little section here. We've got the road from the right of Coxford Drive joining us, and then very shortly after that we've got the road from Roundham's Road. They all kind of like merge into one, so there's often traffic coming from the right and traffic coming to the left. We've got an island for allowing pedestrians to cross the road in separate motions and signifying how busy this section can be at times. We're going to be turning left into Upper Brown Hill Road, and then we're going to be approaching a mini roundabout. The mini roundabout from the opposite direction is actually quite difficult to see. The road sign is obstructed by a very large tree, so it is quite easy for vehicles that are coming up Upper Brown Hill Road to not be aware that there's a roundabout there. So just be cautious about the way that cars are approaching you from ahead. And that's especially the case if you're turning right on this roundabout. Today we're following the road ahead, so it's not an issue. And this part of Upper Brown Hill Road often has cars parked on the left-hand side. Sometimes they're fully in the road, sometimes they're half and half. It can affect how you want to go past them if vehicles are coming towards us. In this instance, you can see that there's a vehicle coming towards us. The car was parked half on the road, half on the pavement. So we just exercise a good cautious speed. We're progressing where we can progress, and we're just being aware of areas where maybe it's not quite as good an idea for us to keep moving. As it is, we've negotiated all those quite well. Every time you change in position, make sure you're checking centre and right, centre and left to come back in. We've got a left-hand turn here as we're approaching Romsey Road, and as you can see, the instructions here are instructing we have to turn left unless we are a bus or a bicycle. Now on this test, we did have 5 minor faults. 3 of them were for hesitation. I'm pretty sure that one of them would have been at this junction. There's a little bit of a gap here where we don't see any cars go past us, and I think potentially we could have gone a little bit earlier. We're now on Romsey Road and we really are heading for the home stretch now. We've just got one more right-hand turn to do back onto Green Lane. It's not as bad turning into Green Lane as it is turning out of it, but it's still a very busy intersection. So there's lots of cars coming towards you. You can quite often be sat here waiting for your opportunity to turn right. So keep your observations up. Keep looking into the new road to make sure that there's no obstructions that you need to deal with. And look for vehicles that are coming towards you that may give you an opportunity to turn right a little bit earlier than you would normally. You quite often find at the last minute here, the examiner will ask you to pull up on the left just before you get back to the test centre. It's not the case here, but we do have a parked vehicle that we're having to go around. I think we had another instance of hesitation here. Quite a long time before the vehicle come across, and I think there was enough evidence that they also kind of like flashed to suggest that they were happy for you to go in front of them anyway. So I think we did incur a second instance of hesitation. But we're now just moving up towards the test centre. We're going to turn left into the test centre. I put the reversing camera up because we still haven't been asked to do our manoeuvre. So as we enter the test centre, the examiner is going to give the pupil the instruction to do the reverse bay parking manoeuvre on the right-hand side. The pupil's got good control of their speed and they position themselves very close to the bays on the right-hand side. We stop. We're going to do our all-round observations, check that there's no one moving where we don't want to, and then we're going to create our angle for our reversing manoeuvre. Good control of the speed. I did happen to be watching from the window as the pupil was doing this manoeuvre. And I was a little bit concerned that they didn't create enough angle. There's space in front of them. If there's no one in the car parking spaces, it is free to use them. I wouldn't necessarily go all the way into it, but using a little bit of a space to create the angle that you want is absolutely fine. All-round observations before we start doing the reversing. And as you can see, the position is not quite going as we would like. Potentially just because we didn't create enough angle in the first place. But the pupil does a really good job here. They realise they're not in a good position. They stop. They go forward to give themselves a second opportunity. This is absolutely fine as long as you do all-round observations when you change your direction, both as you move forward and as you move backwards, and then as we reverse backwards again. We're going to make a slight little adjustment to the steering just to bring the vehicle a little bit further to what would be our right. Remembering at the last moment just to steer back to the left to bring the nose round so that you're nice and straight within the bay. The examiner did mark a minor fault for this manoeuvre, mainly for the repositioning, but they also did mention that we weren't very far back in the bay for our final position, but it didn't have an effect on the test, and thankfully we can say that we had another pass in this one. We had a total of 5 minor faults. 1 for the manoeuvre, as mentioned, and 3 for hesitation, which was a little bit lucky. Another 1 for hesitation may have meant that the examiner turned that into a serious fault, but we were lucky enough to get away from that. So thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more of these commentary videos, remember to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you very soon. Take care.